Guys, we have our first ever podcast guest today. This is my very good friend, Spider-Man.
Or woman. We don't know.
For sure.
We are an unusual couple, you know.
Really rides up in the crotch. Oh, man. What's going on,
You're
guys?
kind of cute taking that off.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're back. And
Yeah.
so is Spider-Man on the big screen.
Yeah.
Across the Spider-Verse is out.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit comfortably, by the way. I'm going to, chill out.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so we're talking about that today at some point.
Yeah, we're talking about a bunch of different things. Yeah. First things first. How was your week?
It was good. Saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse twice.
Mm-hmm.
Got back on track. I feel this is the first week I've been fully back on track since my trip out to California, so that's always good. But really gearing up for this next week. That's what I've been kind of getting ready for mentally, because we have a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big week.
Yeah.
We're going to Dallas.
Yeah.
Fan Expo Dallas for 3 days, June 9th, 10th, 11th. Meeting a lot of celebrities there, doing our thing. I'll be vlogging it, but I'm looking forward to it.
Please manifest that Joseph Quinn gets his stupid work visa, because right now this weekend is Fan Expo Philly. Thank God we changed from Fan Expo Philly to Fan Expo Dallas, because not only did John Bernthal cancel on Fan Expo Philly, Joseph Quinn has not been able to get his work visa, ergo he is stuck in the UK right now. And I would cry.
I mean, it was a blessing in disguise. I had this weird gut feeling about going to Fan Expo Philly anyway. And so the fact that I was just like, hey, I think we should go to Dallas, and I made the initiative there. We canceled our plans for Fan Expo Philly. It worked out on multiple different fronts. We have friends in Dallas.
Yeah.
The celeb lineup that we're going to meet is better in Dallas.
Yeah.
And all around it's a better place to go, I feel.
Love Dallas.
Yeah.
I love Texas because I love Dr. Pepper.
I've actually never been outside of an airport in Texas. I was stranded in the Austin airport for 7 hours during a layover. But other than that, I've never actually stepped foot outside of an airport in Texas.
I went to Texas for the very first time literally this year.
Yeah.
February.
You did.
Went to see my friends. I'll be seeing the same friend again this time around because she lives in Dallas. And it was nice. We kind of just hung out at our house. I didn't really do anything. I do want to go to Houston because of NASA and because of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. You could catch a Texans game. I'm kidding.
An Astros game.
Screw them. My phone's vibrating. Trevor is trying to FaceTime me.
Trevor.
Not now.
Don't you know we're filming a podcast?
Yeah, that's
Does
funny.
Trevor watch our podcast?
I don't know. It'd be funny if you saw that, though. But
My friends watch our podcast.
That's sweet of them. My friend who I'm meeting in Dallas, too, Jacob, Starcourt Food Court.
Right.
He watches the podcast.
Hi, Jacob.
And we'll meet him in person. It'll be hype. I'm excited.
That'll be hype.
So, yeah. Lots to look forward to.
Manifesting that everything works out for
Yeah. Knock on wood. I don't even know if that's wood. We're going to call it wood, though.
I'm sure it's wood underneath. It looks like wood.
I mean,
Hardwood.
yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be big, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun. Really, we're meeting Stranger Things people, Cobra Kai people, Marvel people. You can't really top that.
Yeah.
So.
I'm hyped.
Yeah, lots of new autographs being added to the collection.
Yes, sir.
There's few better feelings than getting a Funko Pop or item signed by a celebrity, and talking to them. It's just truly a rush. It's an adrenaline rush.
Yes, sir. I hope you don't pass out.
I'll be there for you. When the rain starts to pour,
sweet.
I think those are the lyrics. But
yes.
Yeah, I will be. I'll be supporting you.
I really appreciate it. I really need it. I'm scared.
It's come to my attention that I make weird faces during the podcast.
You do. You play with your beard and you...
I do weird stuff with my lips and play with my facial hair.
Yeah, especially when you're not talking. Because when I make the clips for the podcast, at least I have for the past 2 podcasts, and I do them now because I'm out of school, and so Chris doesn't have to do them anymore. And... I like to cut, even when I'm speaking, I cut back to the other person if I feel like the 9:16 screen has been on somebody for too long to keep it engaging.
That's a very smart tactic.
But sometimes when I cut to you, you're doing this. Or you're yawning.
You can do that if you want.
Or you're doing some. Yeah.
You honestly, an old trick is you could just find footage of me from anywhere else and turn the volume down.
But that's also a lot of work.
Okay.
Because then I have to extract the audio from when I'm talking and then clip it.
I
make sure that when I cut back, it syncs up. It's just Would it be better and easier if you just didn't make funny faces the whole time?
I can't help the way I am. By the way, I'm hitting publish on my Spider-Man ranking. Boom. For those watching this, my Spider-Man movies ranking is now live on YouTube, so check it out if you haven't.
So much fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse
In
is
case
out
you
now.
can't tell based on the attire of today's video and the pink background and the painting I'm currently working on in the background and the popcorn bucket right here, I love Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
And I love Spider-Gwen.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Across the Spider-Verse. Spoilers.
We're going spoilers.
Yeah, all because I'm editing this podcast because
Okay.
Chris has a weekend with his buddies.
This is true.
I'll put a timestamp right here.
And bigger things are happening. I won't go into detail on that, but it's an exciting weekend for my personal life.
Right.
I don't want to talk about it.
I
but
was just like, what is he talking
not
about?
involving me, but
Totally
involving family. It's
Yeah, yeah.
exciting. So
Right here, around this general area, I will put a timestamp. If you haven't seen Spider-Verse yet, you can cut to this because we're going to talk about our thoughts for Spider-Verse, and then we're going to talk about our top 3 Spider people. I don't think our talk about our top 3 Spider people will that involve spoilers, do you think? Should I just cut to after that whole segment?
yeah,
Okay, I'll cut to whatever this timestamp is. You can cut to there.
right here.
Jump to there, and that will be when the spoiler talk for Across the Spider-Verse is over.
Sounds
right.
about right.
But if you're still here, then that means you've seen the movie.
Spoilers in 3, 2, 1.
Thoughts?
The movie ends on a cliffhanger, guys.
Which is it's so funny. So many people don't know that Across the Spider-Verse ends on a cliffhanger, which is fine, I think, for the general public. But the amount of like influencers and the amount of like social media content creators and like movie people that didn't know that it ended on a cliffhanger was like baffling to me. Like didn't know it was a part 1. It was marketed like that.
I'm confused more so. I'm not naming names. That's not who I am. But there's people who are in like the movie space that review films, I guess, and and they like were saying, yeah, they had no clue it was a part 1 and 2. But it's baffling to me because for over an entire year,
Like the
damn near
working title.
multiple years in a row, it was going to be Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
Just like how Avengers Infinity War Endgame were going to be called a Part 1 and 2 originally.
Yeah.
So for people who claim to be so in the know about it, I was like, damn, you guys didn't know that this was a part 1 and 2 situation. It kind of made me think maybe people aren't paying as much attention as they claim
and then
to.
even besides that, the people that got to see that like one early screener in LA like a week and a half before like the premiere came out.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
That group of people also said that it ended on a cliffhanger. Like
Yeah.
they literally were like, it doesn't end. It does not wrap things up
Yeah,
and it's ending.
It's a part 1.
Literally, they said that.
Yep. So I
So-
think the biggest critique I've seen of the movie is that it is an abrupt ending, and that it doesn't, bring finality to this film.
Which I
And to
disagree.
that I say there's a part 2, but I also say it does actually wrap up this story. It is a little not jarring, but a little off-putting when the movie ends because it's like, oh man, I think it's because we were just getting to the good stuff though.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, I really want more. But once we watch once Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, no one is going to sit down and watch Across the Spider-Verse and be like, okay, I'm good. You're going to watch Beyond the Spider-Verse right after it as one big movie.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that, like, it was a cliffhanger, obviously, because it was, setting up the next movie. But the only thing it didn't really resolve, I guess, is the whole situation with Miles' dad and the fact that he's going to die in 2 days. Or air quote die. We don't know if Miles is going to end up saving him or not. But, like, my thing is that it's not abrupt because to me, we know where all of our characters are. We know where Miles is, and we know who Miles is with. We know where Gwen is. We know who Gwen's with, and we know where Gwen's going to go. We know what her plan is. She's going to go and get Miles. And she has a team of spider people with her going to get Miles. We know where Spider-Man 2099 is and what he's doing and what his goal is. His goal is to find Miles and stop Miles. And Spot is in Miles' universe. We know where Spot is. We know where all of our characters are.
Yeah.
There's not really... The only question is just a general what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
That's what a cliffhanger is.
Yeah. And it's
not like-
honestly, yeah, it felt like almost one of those classic like Batman TV episodes where it's like, make sure you come back next week to see if the Cape Crusader will get out of the situation. And it's like, cool. It was comic-y. It said to be continued on the screen in the comic font. It's like, that would totally be a cliffhanger.
Comic book.
Yeah.
Like they
yes.
would,
Yeah.
A comic book would leave off on that cliffhanger.
Yep.
And like, I'd argue maybe that Infinity War was more of a cliffhanger because we had zero idea if those people were actually dead or not. We had no idea. Zero indication.
That's fair. That's
we
totally,
all
I didn't think
obviously
about that,
we
yeah.
all were able to like be like, there's no way they're killing these people. Like when Black Panther blipped, it's like there's no way, you know. And we could tell because they kept all the like original characters, and we could kind of tell where they're going. But if we didn't, if we weren't smart enough, that would have been crazy. That would have been cliffhanger. We were like, are they dead?
Yeah, and you make a good point about cliffhangers there. A lot of people, I think, just forget they exist. Like, not to, like, the Fast X is an anomaly, okay? Fast X is literally an anomaly. It was never meant to happen.
I just think we as a society, we came from cliffhangers, baby. Deathly Hallows Part 1. Breaking Dawn Part 1. Mockingjay Part 1. Those are all great franchises.
And do you want to know the best cliffhanger ending of all time?
What?
Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest.
Look at that.
I'm literally going to spoil a little bit of the movie, but I'm going to tell you this. Jack Sparrow dies, and at the end of the movie, hope is lost, but our main group of heroes gets together to go find him because they think he's in David Jones. Literally, it sounds straight up like Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the movie, Barbossa's alive, and it's like, holy shit, and it's like a cliffhanger, but you're hype. It's no different to me than when Gwen has her team, and they're like, let's fucking go.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just like, we as a society, we were built on cliffhangers. We were built on part 1s and part 2s. And I'm glad we're back to it, actually.
Yeah.
Me personally.
I don't know why, yeah, that's the biggest complaint. It's like, it's invalid. The actual complaint for the movie for me is that on rewatch, I noticed it even more. Like the first act, I'm not talking about the cold open, but everything until I'd say they go to like the India universe is a little bit of a drag for me. And what I mean by that is it's slow paced. Now I know they're setting up Miles and his relationship with his family, but it feels like directionless. It literally just felt meandering for a bit. Like I was like, what are we doing? Like literally, what is the point of this movie? And then when Gwen arrives, it's like, okay, she's saving the day here. But other than that, it's like, it just feels pretty meaningless right now.
That's fair. And also, just to state this, we both loved the movie. Like, we thought it was great. What'd you give it on Letterboxd?
4.5 out of 5 stars, baby.
I gave it 5
It's
out
like
of
a
5.
9 out of 10.
It's a really, really great movie, but also no movie has 0 flaws. So we're gonna have a review on Chris's channel, like, of the movie. But I think right now we're kind of talking about like anything that we saw that was sort of flawed, I guess, in the movie. Right?
Sorry, I had to take a sip of water there. My mouth was dry. Yeah, like we're just talking about our spoilery thoughts on the movie. So
Yeah. One of my issues with the film, and I didn't think about this today until I was on the phone with my friend Drew, the whole concept of all the spider people just agreeing with Miguel and going with Miguel, and the fact that Miles and I guess Hobie are like the only 2 spider people that were against or willing to like go against Miguel's whole like thought process and his whole ideals or whatever, doesn't feel right to me. I feel like it's much more in character of Spider-Man to be like, no, screw you, I'm gonna go save the people I love. I'm not listening to this. Spider-Man can do both.
yeah,
And granted, it might not work out, but like it's all of them just blindly following Miguel felt not very Spider-Man-y to me.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean. It was a little not out of character, but in a way, questioning why.
Like, we saw Gwen have, her struggles with things Miguel was saying. You could tell she was like not really agreeing. But other than that, other than Miles, Gwen, and Hobie, everyone was just like, oh, praise Miguel, which was just odd.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about that actually.
It's just
The
not
movie was a
Spider-Man.
lot to process too, by the way. I've seen it twice, but it is
Yeah.
like when they go into the whole lore of the web of whatever. What's it called?
The Web of Life and Destiny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that. It's like it's a lot to take in at times. It's like, holy shit, this is pretty damn deep. Everyone has these canon events that like pertain to every single Spider-Man around the world.
Basically, every Spider-Man goes through the same life events, and that's what keeps them all together and connected through this thing that we like to call the Web of Life and Destiny. I was hyped when Miguel said that the first time I watched the movie. I was
Yeah.
like, I made a TikTok about that.
I think to me, I really, really like this movie. I'm just a little frustrated with,
People?
yeah, like the response to it being that it is the greatest comic book film of all time and being so dismissive of Into the Spider-Verse, which for 5 years
Yeah.
was being called the greatest comic book film of all time. And it's like, this comes out and
Yeah.
boom. I literally, again, I got bored earlier, so I went to a Twitter account of someone who
Reviews
movies, whatever. They may or may not have a following. Who knows? I'm making this very, what's the word?
Vague.
Yeah, vague. That's the word. I scrolled to May when Guardians came out. They tweeted out something along the lines of it being the best Marvel movie that will never be topped. And their favorite.
He read the tweet out loud to me, and he changed MCU to Marvel.
Yeah, I did.
And he was like, "What movie is this person talking about?"
Yeah,
And I was like,
I wanted to see.
I was like, Across the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
And he was like, nope. I was like, oh, that's awkward.
It's just funny to me because I think that, again, you're allowed to love this movie, think it's the best thing ever. I'm not trying to take away from that. But so many people go in and they're like, oh, it's the best comic movie ever, the best sequel ever, the best movie ever. It's like, that has no value or meaning in society anymore.
I think that...
None.
For me, the issue I have with it is, for reference, love the movie.
You don't have to keep saying that.
I know.
We loved the movie.
In case I clip it. For reference, I love the movie. As of right now, I think it's either 2 or 3 on my list of Spider-Man movies. TASM taking top spot, obviously. And I love Gwen. Gwen is like my favorite character ever. However, I think what's bothering me is people saying greatest comic book movie of all time. Number one, it feels like they're not even trying to actually describe what they like about the movie and why they like it. It feels like a very like cop out, I can't come up with better adjectives type of description for a movie. Like I love the reviews that are like a little bit bigger and they actually explain in detail like specific things that they loved and explained why they loved the movie. That's what I like to see. If you just say greatest comic book movie of all time, you're boring me. You are boring me, and I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not listening to it. And also, I think there is a very distinct difference between something being the greatest comic book movie of all time and being your favorite comic book movie of all time.
Preach.
Because everybody's saying that it is the greatest comic book movie of all time.
Is wrong, in my opinion.
There's just, it's just a very strong statement. Or it should be, but at this point, it's such a nothing statement because it's said about almost everything. When does The Flash come out?
June 16th. It's June 2nd.
How many people do you think are going to say that it's the greatest comic book movie of all time?
I'd be willing to bet that the aforementioned person will say that, and I can't wait to I might make a burner Twitter account, and you guys will just... You will not. I wouldn't, but you guys just find the most... if you ever find someone just calling out everybody for their... repetitive takes, it might be me.
It might be Chris. Who knows?
The masked vigilante known as.
I just think that, and obviously I know that as movies come out, movies can dethrone previous movies. I'm fully aware of that, but it's just crazy that Guardians comes out, everyone calls it greatest comic book movie of all time. Across the Spider-Verse comes out, everyone calls it greatest comic book movie of all time. And then when The Flash comes out, if everyone starts to call it the greatest comic book movie of all time, I'm going to be like, this phrase means nothing now. Well, it doesn't mean anything to me.
You know what sucks? There's two sides to this coin. Number one, we live in a world of extremes.
Yeah.
This track record of, these movies could all be really good. Guardians 3, my favorite movie of the year. And Across the Spider-Verse, really good. Flash could be good. It sets up such polarizing views, though. There will never be another comic book movie that's just in the middle. People are going to shit on the Marvels because of this. I'm serious. Yeah. Think about that. If the Marvels isn't groundbreaking, the greatest thing, mid-dog shit movie. They did the same thing with Quantumania. I can't remember the last time we just had that was a good movie, but it wasn't the greatest thing ever. I don't remember the last time a movie like that came out. Because if you think about it, 2022, The Batman, greatest comic book film of all time thrown around.
Yep.
Multiverse of Midness, Thor: Love and Thunder, dog shit. I don't even know what else came out last year. It was actually really bad. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's I think about it this way. I think the early reactions on social media make or break a movie. If they're overwhelmingly positive, that creates a bias, whether people are aware of it or not, that they're going to go in and already love the movie.
Yeah.
If the same exact movie, this movie came out, but it had about a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 6 out of every 10 critic was praising it. But there were some people saying it's good, but Spider-Verse is better. It has some issues. The overwhelming hype we're seeing right now would not be as prevalent. I just think it's unfortunate, but the pre-release movie buzz and hype, whether that is positive or negative, will directly affect the general public's perception of the movie.
I agree. Very well said.
That's just a fact, and it's gonna happen with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
It's already happening.
People are already like, oh man,
I'm worried
bummer.
about it.
The movie doesn't come out for a month, motherfucker. Excuse my language, but it pisses me off. I'm serious. The movie doesn't come out yet. A small group of critics have seen this at the Cannes Film Festival, and people have already decided their opinion on the movie because of Rotten Tomatoes. It fires me up because we live in a society where people just... I sound like Murray right now. We live in a society. No. The Joker, by the way, is what I meant to say. But anyway, it fires me up because... Just go watch the movie and like it. Not everything has to be the greatest or worst of all time.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a damn good movie, call it a damn good movie. But I'm sick of throwing around greatest of all time terms.
I agree. It's just like, it's watered down. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
It's like saying I love you. The term love means a lot. Like,
we literally had this conversation, like, I think a year and a half into our relationship. It was around when we went to college, freshman year of college. I think we were like, we don't need to end every conversation with Illy or I love you.
Yeah, it's like
we can't
Jesus.
just send. I was like, we can't just send Illy to each other like multiple times throughout the day because that starts to water it down.
This was years ago, by the way.
Years ago. This was like 5 years ago. Long ass time ago. Obviously. Very new into our relationship. It was when we were in college, so we weren't seeing each other every day. So we were like just texting each other Illy all the time, and
Yeah.
I literally had to
just randomly.
I think I started the conversation. I was like, I think we need to. It's okay.
Yeah.
I know that you love me.
Yeah.
You know that I love you.
Mhm.
We don't need to say it every 5
Yeah.
minutes because it's starting not to mean anything, and
Yep.
that's not good.
Yep. The term greatest comic book film of all time or greatest blank of all time, it means nothing anymore. It's thrown around
Yeah.
all the time. I saw the claim that, greatest animated film of all time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not that. It could be. But let it breathe.
I think the animation.
Let it breathe before making that distinction.
It's also, I hate when people are like, this is the greatest animated movie
Yeah.
of all time because there's not been another animated movie like this. I think that this is a big stepping stone in the world of animation, and I think we're going to see the world of animation change because of movies like Across and Into the Spider-Verse.
Continue, sorry.
You're good. I just think that, like, there's different styles of animation. It's like trying to compare your favorite horror movie to your favorite rom-com movie. What? There's very different styles of animation.
I was going to say that people, I don't think, are intelligent enough to make the distinction between something being the greatest animated film of all time, which takes into account plot, characters, score, everything, versus the movie with the greatest animation of all time. I think
That's so true.
I think people are
That's a
mixing
good way
those
to
two
say
things
it.
up.
Yeah.
This is the movie to me with the greatest, most mind-blowing animation I've ever seen, but as an animated movie, it is not the best. It's not better than The Lion King. It's not better than the elite film from Pixar or DreamWorks that I've seen. It's damn good. It's in the conversation. But I think people just honestly are confused with the actual language online. I really do. I'm
That's
so
true.
serious.
I never
Yeah.
thought about it like that.
Um,
It's a good way of putting it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're kind of spitting today.
We're kind of, are we slaying? We might be slaying.
We might be.
It probably sounds like we're shitting on the movie. I swear we're not. If anything, we're more or less shitting on how people are talking about the movie.
What I'm doing is, you guys can check out my review for about the movie, and she's in the Cam's in it. We love the movie. This is more so airing my grievances with people and the way we perceive new releases. And Across the Spider-Verse just so happens to be the movie, the catalyst for this conversation.
Yeah. Like, it's just maybe relax a little
Chill.
bit. It's okay.
Yeah. Just chill.
Because you kind of said this earlier. When Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, people are going to dismiss Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, my God, yeah. In 10 months from right now, when Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, everyone will be saying this is the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time.
I think what I think it is I think Across the Spider-Verse is a very good, very compelling, very brilliant installment into what is going to be one of the greatest trilogies we've ever seen. I think, especially if Beyond the Spider-Verse lands well, if everything's rounded out beautifully and it has a great ending, this Spider-Verse trilogy will be one of the greatest trilogies of all time. And I think Across the Spider-Verse is another great installment to that, but I don't know if it is the greatest movie of all time.
I don't either. I don't see that, and it's not just comic book films. Other movies that come out this year will be deemed that. It's just
Like
the
what?
way of the world.
Give me one.
Dune Part 2 will be deemed that.
Oh, forgot about Dune.
Yep. People will say that about Dune. People said it about John Wick. I love that movie, by the way. I gave it 5 out of 5. It's one of the coolest action movies I've ever seen. But like, it's just every year, every other month, a big, cool, awesome movie comes out, and people just, they hop on that train for a month, throw it away. Like,
Yeah.
people have already dismissed Guardians 3.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
movie of the year for me right now.
really?
Yeah. It's not going to get topped unless Indiana Jones or like Mission Impossible, something out of left field. Guardians 3 is not coming out of the top 3.
Very fair. Very
Yeah.
fair.
So speaking of top 3s, we're going to give
Yeah.
our top 3 Spider people or variants from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And by the way, welcome back. If you guys skipped the spoiler portion, we will have a full spoiler review on my channel where we go more in depth with the movie. That was almost more of a rant about society's way of explaining their thoughts on movies.
Yeah.
We still got into
almost
some
didn't
things.
really spoil that much. That's whatever.
Who cares?
Who cares?
It's
Just
a
to be safe.
This is why we do a podcast.
Just to be on the safe side. If you don't want
Yeah.
any mild, maybe spoilers, you skipped it. You're good. You're back. We're going to go over our top 3 Spider people from the movie because obviously there were lots of variants in this film.
Yeah.
A whole lot of people. We got introduced to some new Spider characters. We saw some Spider people that we've seen before in other mediums like video games, stuff like that. None of that's a spoiler. We've all seen, there's videos and on posters like
Yeah.
the PS4 Spider-Man's there.
Should we just do like for this then? Should we just state the obvious and say like we love these and then just talk about the coolest like appearances maybe or no?
No, just do your top 3.
Okay.
You can mention, cool appearances
Okay,
as
yeah.
well. You can do an honorable mention.
Ooh. All right.
I've got my number 1. Are we starting at number 1 or number 3?
Number 3, I guess.
Oh, shoot.
Mine's basic. Sorry, guys. But number 3, Miles Morales for me.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to
What? Miles isn't one? What? No. I love Miles. He's number 3. My top 3 are just goats from this franchise.
I think when it comes to your favorite Spider people, whether we're talking animated or live action or whatever, it genuinely is all just preference and what you relate to the most. Because obviously, looking at the screen right now, my number 1's not going to be a shock to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what my number 3 is. I think my number 3, I'm gonna give it to. I liked Jess Drew. She was cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
The pregnant lady on the
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Yep. I'm not really gonna give reasoning. We're just doing this right, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. My number 2 is Peter B. Parker. Yeah.
Who's your number 1 gonna be?
Spider-Gwen.
Oh!
She's the best. Gwen Stacy's the best in the movie. After 2 watches, she's the coolest in the movie. I love Peter B. Parker. He's hilarious. He's that dad. Mayday, so cute. And again, Miles is the main of this franchise. He's super cool as well and kicks a lot of ass. Those are my top 3. There
My
you have
number
it.
2 is gonna be Hobie, Spider-Punk. I thought he was super
Nice,
cool.
nice.
Kind of. I don't know if it was like this for everybody. The audio in the movie kind of feels really weird. So Hobie was a little bit difficult to hear, but whenever I could really understand what he was saying, he was funny as hell. He always made me laugh. I love Daniel Kaluuya, so I liked Spider-Punk. He was really cool and fun.
You're not alone. Audio was off the whole movie for us. Pretty much worse the first time, but I've seen everyone say it's like
Yeah,
the
it's a little
dialogue was
weird.
kind of shitty, like the way they recorded it or whatever.
But I just think Spider-Punk is so funny. I think he's a homie when it comes to Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously my number 1 is also Spider-Gwen.
Ooh, you know what? I want to shout out Spider-Man India. I don't know how to pronounce his
Paviter.
Yeah, he's dope and he was hilarious and
I have it written down.
I would honestly maybe almost put him in the top 4 or 3. He was great.
Oh,
That
he
was
was
an
so
awesome little middle act. We kind of got the ball rolling finally in the movie. That's when it really picked up for me. So
Paviter Barker. Paviter.
yeah, forgive us for the mispronunciation
Paviter.
probably.
Yeah, sorry if I mispronounced.
It's all good.
Obviously, my number 1 is Spider-Gwen. When we
Spider-Gwen.
got the news that yeah, her bucket's back there. When we got the news that we're getting a Spider-Woman solo movie and
Animated, yeah.
Spider-Gwen, just about lost my mind. I lost my mind for the first 15 minutes of the movie probably because it was just Gwen. I was living. It was the happiest I've ever been. Granted, I was also sad because I was seeing sad things happen. But
Yeah. Fair.
I love her. She's the best.
Yeah, she's awesome, and this movie was just as much hers as Miles. I've seen people getting really mad online. In my comment section,
About what?
someone was like, yeah, they were like really upset that Gwen had like a role in the movie.
What?
Weird, right?
Why?
I don't know.
Did they explain?
I didn't read their 15-paragraph essay, so no.
I want to read it.
Fun fact, if someone comments an essay, I just don't read it. Sorry.
Oh, heaven forbid women get a role in a movie.
I don't read essay comments. I just don't.
Heaven forbid.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is really good. I don't We have more. We're kind of saving for my channel.
Yeah.
We're gonna record after this, so I don't want to.
It'll probably
talk
be
too much
up.
about it right now.
It'll be up before our podcast is
Yeah, it
up
will
because
be.
this will come up on Monday.
Yeah, it'll
So-
come out probably tomorrow or Sunday.
Yeah,
The video.
it'll be up already.
Oh my God, we're seeing Raiders of the Lost Ark in theaters this weekend.
Oh yeah, are you excited?
Yes,
So cute.
we're seeing it Sunday. I'm so excited. That's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I might vlog it, probably not, but that will be super super cool. And I'll probably have to rewatch the rest of them after,
Afterwards?
and then I'll watch them all 4 again
Are
the
you
week
coming here
of.
afterwards?
Yeah, and then I'll watch all 4 of them again the week of Dial of Destiny.
So exciting.
Yeah, I love indie, and I always will. But yeah, I'm done talking about Spider-Verse on this.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
I'm good.
We did some games last podcast where we did like original or remake for some Disney movies, and we found that very fun, and I personally found that very clippable for TikTok. So we're gonna do another sort of game with comic book movies, and it's going to be overrated, underrated, or neutral /
Yeah,
properly rated.
Neutral meaning like it is properly rated by society for the most part, and there's not like
Or also
Yeah.
just like have
yeah,
any strong feelings on the situation.
correct.
I guess.
So we have
Properly rated is just a lot of letters.
we
You're
have
right.
damn near a double handful of comic book films to talk about here.
Yeah.
A good scoop, a large ice cream, if you will,
Yeah.
of all these comic movies, Marvel and DC, animated and otherwise. And we're going to go down this line, overrated, underrated, neutral, starting out here with The Dark Knight Rises, the conclusion of the Nolan Batman trilogy. I guess we just count down. 3.
Is it the conclusion? I thought it was the second one.
It's the conclusion. The Dark Knight's the middle one.
What's the first one?
Batman Begins.
Oh, forgot
Yeah,
about that one.
it's okay.
Might be.
In 3, 2, 1. I lost my neutral down on the floor. Underrated.
Really?
Wildly underrated. People call this the worst Christopher Nolan movie of all time. They call it the worst of the trilogy, and they always attack the ending of the film, calling it, "Oh, it's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense." Get over it. All right. There are plot holes in this movie, but you cannot deny the epic scale of it. The way that it, I mean, this movie has moments that literally make me get up with chills and like start jumping up and down. Makes me tear up at the end. It is underrated. I think it's the second best of the trilogy. I take it over Begins.
Really? I'm not the most on DC.
Yeah.
I'm not in that conversation very much. I thought everyone loved this movie. So this is news to me.
No. Yeah, it's got a reputation for being the worst of the trilogy, and it's super
reputation.
irritating to me. People don't like Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. Yeah.
Why?
They just are, I don't know.
They
They're
don't
weird.
like fun.
Who knows, but Bane is a badass villain. When he breaks Batman's freaking back, how do you not think that guy's a menace? That movie is underrated as hell. The opening, people talk about the Dark Knight opening. The opening of Rises, he literally crashed a plane. It's like a plane heist. Like, it's dope. I don't know how people, I don't know. The Dark Knight's amazing, but Rises is great too.
All right.
Kicking it back to Marvel and Spider-Man, though, we're going to the OG Spider-Man. This is the movie that started it all. Opened the door for pretty much every Spider-Man movie that would
Yeah.
follow. 3, 2, 1. I'm going underrated.
I'm also going underrated. We just rewatched all the Spider-Man movies recently, like we've said many times. And when we were rewatching the Raimi trilogy, I was like, is it a hot take if I like Spider-Man more than Spider-Man 2? Because everyone loves Spider-Man 2, and I mean, I like it. It's great. It's a great movie. But I'm like, I don't know.
I like Spider-Man the most of the trilogy, and that is a hot take.
Willem Dafoe, great. Green Goblin, great. I just feel like the presence of a villain is more prevalent in Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2, I like Doc Ock. Not only is he
not
isn't a villain from the get-go, obviously, but also he's like not really in it all that much.
He's
barely
kind of
there.
he's kind of pulling the strings in the background because Peter's having literally an existential crisis in the movie.
Yeah, it's like all about Peter, which is fine,
which
but
I actually do appreciate. But Spider-Man, it's classic. It's the most comic booky of those 3 movies. It's got the best villain. The Peter and Harry relationship is awesome to see that develop, and it is just a great origin. Like, it's campy, but it embraces it. We get to that whole wrestling scene with Bonesaw McGraw. It's a perfect origin to me.
I just think I always hear people talk about Spider-Man 2, and I never hear anybody talk about Spider-Man.
People, it's they're quick to dismiss this one.
It's
in
very
terms of
slept on, in my opinion.
terms of the overall Spider-Man conversation. It's very high on my ranking. And the Uncle Ben death scene perfectly executed.
Mhm.
Like that is the best Uncle Ben we've seen. I prefer him over Martin Sheen's in TASM.
Teach their own.
Okay. To agree to disagree. Next, we've got an MCU flick, Thor Ragnarok. Many say this is just the damn funniest thing you've ever seen. Let's just go ahead and get into it. 3, 2, 1. Overrated. Yeah, I don't hate the movie.
I held up too.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. If you were to ask me, if we were doing this in 2018, 2019,
Yeah.
overrated would have been the
That's
only
fair.
thing I held up. But I don't hear anybody really talk about it that much anymore. Outside of when Thor Love and Thunder came out and everyone was like, this movie was trash, Thor Ragnarok is better, which is a valid take. I don't hear anybody ever really talk about Thor Ragnarok. So now I'm more neutral on it because no one really hypes up as much as they used to. It used to be everyone's like in their top 5 favorite Marvel movies.
The reason that we don't hear about it anymore is because it's a comedy. And with comedies, if they don't have just the cleverest jokes, you can't rewatch them as much because the humor loses value over time. That's why I firmly believe. So
I still think the movie's funny.
it's honestly nowhere near as funny as it was first time around, though.
Well,
It's
yeah.
got some jokes that hit, but the improv shines through. And really, it sucks because we had a good run with Ragnarok, but I think Love and Thunder tainted it a little bit for me, even more. It was already slipping in my ranking.
I miss short hair Thor.
Yeah, it's got great moments. The immigrant song on the bridge. Even Loki and Thor have a great duo here. But
Yeah, Loki's so good in this movie.
the movie slipped for me a lot.
The thing is, for me, is that it hasn't slipped because I put it right where I wanted it to be. I never put it higher than it needed to be on my ranking or anything. Just at the time, like when it came out and a year after it came out, there was just like a heavy praise for it, and I was like, it's good, but it's not the best.
Fair. Moving on to another comedy, we've got Deadpool. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Neutral. I think
If you don't like this movie, I think you're stupid. Like, I don't trust you. I wouldn't trust you with my firstborn or my secondborn or even my thirdborn.
this movie literally is hilarious, and it's so damn rewatchable.
I
Ryan
love it.
Reynolds is Deadpool. You've heard that before, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best comic book films I've seen.
One of the greatest comic book movies of all time, dare I say. And I mean it this time.
Yeah.
It's actually so good. Rewatchability, incredibly high. Humor stays. Humor
It's so
sticks.
clever.
It's people of all ages like it. I love it, and my dad
Yep.
loves it. Like, if Deadpool is on TV, my dad will be watching it.
The argument I hear from a lot of people, though, because I'm in this community online,
Uh-huh.
is that it loses its humor over time, and it's like, oh, it's aged poorly. They say the same thing for the Avengers. No.
Nope.
I'm like, watch it right. I could literally watch it right
literally
now.
Watched it like I watched it like last month. I was laughing my ass off. I was like, this is so funny. I showed it to some of my good friends like Gavin and Nebula and Halsey. Made them watch it because they hadn't seen it before. They loved it. Gavin, who doesn't normally like many things, loved it. Deadpool is like his favorite character.
Yeah, and the thing people say is it's groundbreaking for its time because it broke the fourth wall, but then apparently that sparked this whole fad or like trend of doing that, and so that shtick has gotten old. But I don't see that.
Yeah.
I think that Deadpool it works best. She-Hulk tried to do some weird ripoff of it. Let's just be honest. It did try to do some weird version of it, and it just wasn't
I
hitting.
think the fourth wall breaks for She-Hulk worked within the context of her show. It wouldn't work within the context of a movie if She-Hulk is ever in a movie. But a fourth wall break would work in the context of a movie with a character like Deadpool, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, hers worked in her TV show because her TV show is catered to her and her humor. You
Yeah.
don't have to like it, but they did cater to her character well.
Fair.
But it's just Deadpool could break a fourth wall in any movie ever. Ryan Reynolds could break a fourth wall in any movie ever, and I would
Yep.
buy it.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
He's great.
Deadpool's great. Cannot wait for Deadpool 3. Most anticipated MCU movie of 2025. Literally over the Avengers movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Over. Oh, yeah, no. Because 2024 will be when the next
Yeah.
Spider-Verse movie comes out.
Wait a second.
Right?
I think Deadpool might come out back half of next year.
Really?
Or maybe I'm tripping.
Maybe.
I
not
wanna
'cause
say
of the
either-
writer's strike.
Yeah. Either late 24 or 25, but it's up there for most anticipated MCU. That, and I'm still not going to lie, my hype for Fantastic Four has gone down. If the cast is
If
real.
the casting's real, I don't want to have to watch Adam
Yeah,
Driver be
talk
Mr.
for another
Fantastic.
time. But anyway, Captain America the Winter Soldier is next on this list. You ready?
We're
3,
about to disagree.
2, 1. Overrated.
I think it's rated right where it needs to be, baby. I think it's a great, great, great movie.
We talked earlier about the term greatest comic book film of all time. People love to throw it around for this one. Love it.
I don't think I hear people say it's the greatest comic book movie of all time. I hear people say it's their favorite Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite Marvel movie.
A lot of people say it is the best MCU movie.
I don't think it's objectively the best. It's subjectively my favorite. But I can acknowledge it's not objectively the
Very,
best.
very good movie. First time the MCU went the thriller route. I appreciate it.
None of you can see the Bucky shrine I have on my wall over here, but I have one. So it's...
In terms of like the intensity of the action, it really ramped up here. The highway fight, it's well choreographed.
Fight choreography
Russo Bros came in and directed, but
Slayed.
I've never been that compelled by the main plot of the film. I just like Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. I get it. It's very neat, but I really don't understand the hype. I just don't.
See, I eat up anything that's Hydra. I eat it.
Okay.
I eat it right up.
Yeah.
I just do. I mean, like, they could bring Hydra back for, like, a movie, and I would not be like, boo, overplayed. I'd be like, yep, sounds like Hydra. Cut off one head, 2 more grow back. Absolutely. I'm here for it. Give me more grounded Marvel stuff. I'm a big fighting on the ground type of person. You guys know this. That is my jam. I'm fine if it's not magical and mystical.
Yeah.
And I love the characters in The Winter Soldier. We get Sam Wilson for the first time, and this is actually the most background we get on the character of Sam Wilson, seeing him work with like all the veterans that he works with, and I love that for him. I love him so much.
Yeah. The thing about it is overrated right here. Everyone can read that, right? Overrated does not equal
bad. Yeah, we know. I'm saying that I think the movie's so good that it's rated right where it needs to be.
Fair. I think it's a little too highly rated because Civil War is superior. That's a topic for another time. People will like argue that. I'm Team Civil War over Team Winter Soldier for better Cap movie. But it's still damn good. It's just to me the reason it's overrated is not the best MCU movie. It's actually teetering top 10 almost. There's 10 better movies almost, I would argue. I don't remember where it placed in my recent MCU ranking. I think it was 11 or 10. But I can say off the top of my head, there's 9 movies at least.
I think it's fine if it's not your number 1 movie. I think it's fine if it's not in your top 5. Not being in your top 10, you want to not like this movie.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Not being in your top 10 is a little bit much for me personally.
I'm pulling up my notes. I'm pulling up my ranking. Let's go. Let's run it right now. All right. Going to my notes, going to my MCU ranking. Let's see. Got to go to the movie rankings tab. I'm a very organized person.
I didn't even know you could do that in your notes app.
I do. So I'm a freak when it comes to organization. Infinity War is better. Endgame is better. Iron Man's better. Civil War is better.
Slower.
Infinity War and Endgame are better.
Objectively, sure.
I prefer them, and they're better movies.
That's fine.
Iron Man is better, and it's Iron Man, dude.
I think that's a subjective take. That's
fine.
fine.
My god,
it's
no,
fine.
I don't. I think Iron Man is a better movie, textbook better movie.
Keep going. What's next?
Guardians 3, better than Civil War. Guardians 1, better than Civil War.
You're saying Civil War, you mean Winter Soldier.
Guardians 3, better than Winter Soldier. Guardians 1, better than Winter Soldier. I did that in case she wants to clip it. No Way Home is better. We just watched it last night. Avengers, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh.
You
You lost me on that one. You lost me, babes. Homecoming is not better than The Winter Soldier.
You ready? Guardians 2 is better than Winter Soldier.
Get out of my house.
Ant-Man is better than Winter Soldier.
Out of my house.
Oh man, I don't even know where I put Winter Soldier in my last rank.
It's not even on your list.
It literally, I remember.
It's not on your list.
It's not on my list because look, when I was filming, I remember that I dropped it so much. Someone just has to go pull up the video. It's not in the top 10.
You make me sick.
Guardians 2 is a better movie than Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
You're stupid.
No.
You're straight up stupid.
I'm spitting.
You're stupid.
I'm spitting.
You're stupid.
From beginning to end, the characters have better arcs in that film. There's a better villain in Guardians 2 than in Winter Soldier. Who's the villain? It's Alexander Pierce.
And kind of Bucky.
Okay.
The Winter Soldier.
The Winter Soldier, yeah. Alexander Pierce, I've always viewed as like the overarching villain of that movie. Winter Soldier, still
just
physical threat.
Hydra as a whole. Winter Soldier is the physical action of Hydra.
Fair. Winter Soldier is a very, very good movie. There's 32 MCU movies. It's in the top third. But top 5? I can't do it.
It's my number 1.
I can't do it. I can't even. Anyway, moving
When
on.
was the last time you watched it?
Check my Letterboxd.
I'm not gonna check your letterbox.
Anyway, X-Men Days of Future Past is the next movie.
I'm curious to see what you hold up for this. Move your phone.
Okay, sorry. X-Men Days of Future Past is the next movie.
I'm curious to see what you hold up.
Ready? 3.
Wait, I have to think about what I want to hold up.
Here we go. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Neutral.
I thought you were gonna say it was overrated.
Hell no.
You like First Class more.
No, I don't.
You've told me multiple
No.
times you like First. You are I'm being gaslit on camera.
No.
You've told me before that you like First Class more.
Bella, you were not standing by the or I
What?
don't know if I was trying to do the line from Twilight. What does he say? He's like, I wasn't in the parking lot. What does he say?
I was standing right next to you, Bella.
Yeah, that's what
She's
it was.
like, no, I saw you across the parking
Yeah.
lot. And he's like, I don't know what you're
Oh, that's what it is. You're right. Yeah. I am not a Twilight savant like you.
I could quote the entire
I
movie
know.
for you right
I know.
now.
Days of Future Past, Kim. I've literally said, if I've said anything, I've said they're neck and neck.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, Days of Future Past is better.
I guess I just feel like whenever we're like on a live stream or something, someone asks you your favorite.
I say it's
X-Men
between
movie.
Days of Future Past and First Class
I don't know why
and
I
Logan.
keep
Those are
on-
the top 3 X-Men movies.
Damn. Okay. Well,
Days of Future Past, properly rated movie. It perfectly
great.
integrates the old and new generations of these characters, and God, I love that young
I
cast.
remember when I was watching the X-Men movies for the first time, Chris and my best friend Emma were making me watch them, and for some god awful reason, they decided to make me watch the first X-Men movie first.
I wasn't present for that.
I was like, this is boring, Emma. I'm bored. And she's like, okay, well, we'll watch one of the ones with the younger people next. And then we watched, what's the first one with the young people?
It's called X-Men. Oh, I thought sorry,
Like-
X-Men First Class.
Yeah, that's the next one we watched. I was like, this is so much better.
Yeah,
This is way better than what I
Yeah,
was just forced
yeah.
to watch for like an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Fair.
I was like bored out of my mind.
Mhm.
I like it when it's what's his name? James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. Way better.
Yeah,
And I love Days of Future Past. It's my favorite X-Men movie.
fair enough.
Granted, I have not watched all of them. but
It's damn good, Cam.
It would still be my
It
favorite.
is. I want to watch them again soon. Probably will before Deadpool.
I gotta watch
Yeah.
them all before Deadpool.
Yep. Next, we got The Amazing Spider-Man, the first film, not the second. The first Amazing Spider-Man. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Underrated.
So underrated.
Yeah, and
even after all the No Way Home hype with Andrew and people pretending that Andrew's been their favorite Spider-Man this whole time when he just absolutely hasn't been, and people lying, when I was in the trenches defending my man in 2020 on TikTok, it was rough. If you look at my edits and my the comment section, it's a rough place to be. But I love TASM. TASM is my number 1 Spider-Man movie.
it's a way higher than it was, and I really liked this
He had
movie
a
when I
rebirth.
first saw it. I really did, and that's what I love about movies. By the way, people are afraid to embrace change in life, but in terms of movies, that's the thing. I watch a movie once in 2020. I think of it one way. A year later, my life changes. I watch it. I think of it differently. 2 years later, I watch it again. I love it. It's a great movie. It's a really damn good origin, and I appreciate this movie. I almost applaud it because at the time when I saw it in theaters, we had 3 Spider-Man movies to judge, the Raimi trilogy. So it had to do something different. It had to switch up the reboot and the way it went about it, and it was able to do that and maintain like the core of what makes Spider-Man great. But the main reason this movie is so great is Andrew Garfield's charisma as Spider-Man. Him and Gwen have
He's
the
perfect.
perfect chemistry. And I was just nitpicking the nitpick, I think, for the longest time. I think it took a while for me to
My
fully come around to
favorite-
that.
My favorite
But I was
thing
nitpicking
is
the nitpick.
when we were doing our Spider-Man rewatch, after we rewatched TASM, you said, I can't believe I ever turned on this movie. Because you said when you were 12 and you watched it in theaters, you
Yeah,
came
this
out of
is
theaters
true.
saying TASM was your favorite Spider-Man movie as a wee little 12-year-old lad.
Yeah.
It was your favorite Spider-Man movie. And then you grew up and things changed. And now you're like, I can't believe I ever was disrespectful to this movie.
Honestly, it's a really good movie.
You
It's
tell
a
him.
very, very good movie.
You tell him.
And I would always like put a lot of weight on Lizard, be like, oh, Lizard's not a good villain, but he's not the greatest,
I find
but I feel for him.
you don't always have to have the greatest villain in a
Yeah.
movie. He is a very compelling villain in my opinion. And here's the thing. Maybe it makes sense for Spider-Man's first villain to be an average villain. You can't give him the hardest villain of all time and expect him to win. Holy
Yeah.
crap. Like that's just not going to happen.
Also, I just want to do this. Ready? Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum,
Actually, this is pretty good. This is the best you've ever sung
bum,
something.
bum.
Best score. Are you tearing up a little bit?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I just
I
love-
get moved to tears by scores. It's James Horner, and I've praised it a lot lately, but God, that score.
I can't watch either of the Tasm movies without just violently sobbing. So
Apologies to anyone who was in or a part of the live watch along we did for The Amazing Spider-Man back in like 2021, beginning of 2021, for me being dismissive of the movie and hearing other opinions on it, because truly it's a very, very good movie.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Andrew is the best.
And I encourage every single one of you watching this or listening or watching a clip or whatever, go rewatch the movie. Just go rewatch the movie.
It's like one of my
Like-
it's one of my feel
Like,
good movies.
throw anything you think you know about it out the window and just watch the movie.
Great score. I love his suit in that movie.
Yeah.
I like the villain. I don't care what anybody says. It's just all of it is so good. Him as Peter Parker, I love. Him as Spider-Man, perfect. Gwen, literally perfect. Them together, perfect.
I think for the longest time I was just
Sally Fields, perfect.
she is. I was tied down by the idea that I had to have some of the Spider-Man movies just at the bottom, and like I had to be like, these are the worst. No, it doesn't have to be that way. I firmly believe there's not a bad Spider-Man movie.
In 5 years, he's gonna either have TASM in his top 3, or he's gonna have TASM 2 way higher than it is.
Yeah.
Next one that we're gonna do is the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Not Suicide Squad, but the Suicide Squad.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Underrated.
Really?
Yep, and the
think
reason
it's-
being is a lot of times when I post my DC rankings, as one does in the movie space, people are like, "The movie stinks," and
The Suicide Squad?
they're talking about the Suicide Squad. They're like, and it honestly, it's the Snyder cultists that
Oh.
that run rampant online, and they're like, "It's not Zack Snyder. James Gunn's gonna ruin DC." That faction of people online, some of the worst, and they're incels. They are like all of those people who like worship Zack Snyder and try to like literally attack and ruin other people's lives because the director they like is no longer directing. They need to go get help medically. They need serious help.
That's funny.
The Suicide Squad is my favorite DC EU movie. I think it is the best DC film we've had in a while. That and the Batman are up there. The Batman we'll talk about later. That's not in the DCEU.
Yeah.
That's why the Suicide Squad tops Man of Steel. It tops Wonder Woman. It tops BVS. Great movie. James Gunn hit yet again.
Yeah.
Kicking it back over to Spider-Man. What's next?
We've got Spider-Man Homecoming. Kind of looking at all the first Spider-Man movies. I didn't even realize I did that.
Yeah, clever, eh?
I didn't mean to, but I did.
This one's tough for me in terms of picking something out here, but I think I can make
I'm
my
trying to think
decision.
of what side of the internet I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I think I know what I'm going to go with. Ready?
Yeah. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Underrated.
Underrated, but it's not fantastic.
No.
It's just I think people hate on it when it's really not that bad.
I actually dropped it a spot or two in my ranking recently
Yeah.
for Spider-Man movies. It is like, in terms of MCU, and I made this distinction in my ranking, it's like right in the top 10. Like, I love it. In terms of the other Spider-Man movies, it does lack in some of the classic tropes, the web swinging, the action set pieces, even the quips from Spidey.
Yeah.
And especially, you and I noticed this on the rewatch more so now than ever, he doesn't really do much with technology. He's not like inventing gadgets or...
Ned is the one that hacks
Yeah.
into his suit. Like,
Yeah.
he's stupid. I'm just kidding.
He's an idiot. No. Yeah, so that happens, but I will say Spider-Man Homecoming is a blast of a movie. You can have
Yeah,
fun with
it's
it.
fun.
Vulture, I've said that I literally believe this with my chest. It goes Goblin, Doc Ock, Vulture.
That's fair. That's fair.
He's the third best Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
In terms of film. And I've seen people shred this movie up online.
I don't think it deserves
Oh, people call it the worst Spider-Man movie. They're like,
Far
"It
From Home
sucks."
is right there.
Yeah, and even people we love to watch on YouTube don't like this one.
I know. You
PMI,
can say PMI.
yeah, they don't like it. It's like a lot of people are really hard on it, and the main critique is it's Iron Boy Jr., and I'm just so sick of hearing that.
Yeah, well, now Iron Man's dead, so maybe I like watching him in a movie. Ever thought of that?
With his 5 minutes of screen time for $10 million or something crazy
If
like
anything,
that.
he's more prevalent in Far From Home after his death.
Yeah, literally. So Homecoming's a very fun movie. It is not a perfect Spider-Man movie, but
No, not in
God,
the
does it
slightest.
capture that coming of age feel. The awkwardness
Yeah,
of
that's
being a
what it does.
teenager. God, it's a really good movie.
I wish Homecoming leaned more into Spider-Man quips, web slinging, and swinging, whatever.
Swinging, yeah.
And more into the romance of Peter and MJ.
Yeah, I wish they started that then.
We rewatched Far From Home the other day, and I don't like Far From Home. I'm an avid Far From Home not liker. I don't hate it, but it's just not it's like my least favorite, pretty much. But the best parts of that movie for me are when it's Tom and Zendaya on my screen. They're great. They're obviously not Andrew and Emma, but they're really, really good.
No one can be.
No, but they have a lot of chemistry because they're literally in love IRL. So they should have leaned more into it in Homecoming, and then really leaned into it in Far From Home, and then maybe their separation in No Way Home would have been even harder to deal with. Like that would have been even more crushing.
Might be on something that game. I think that Liz was great for like the twist, like with Vulture. But other than that, I do wish that I almost wish that would have been weird. If Vulture was MJ's dad, that would have been weird. But
it also wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. But you know what? In retrospect, it was all fine. But I do wish that they had more scenes together.
He could have just liked MJ, but already had agreed to go with Liz.
Yeah, something there could have been.
Yeah. You can make a love triangle work. Yeah, you can do it.
Definitely.
But I don't think it deserves like the hatred it gets when Far From Home is right there, dude.
Yeah. People really shit on Homecoming. I disagree with that. So, moving on, our last DC film of this segment, we've got The Batman. Robert Pattinson's Batman from 2022. 3, 2, 1. Neutral.
Again, if you don't like this movie, I don't trust you.
I love this movie and truly believe I saw it 3 times in theaters. The reason I love it so much is I spent hours in the dungeon that was my basement with no lights on in the summer. No lights on, fiending over this Batman Arkham series. I mean, literally trying to 100% the game. I was in the streets of Gotham, and I mean, I was him. I was Bruce for a second. And so when I saw this movie, I was like, okay, this is a darker detective Batman we need. The movie, honestly, scary. Like the opening scene, remember when Riddler's like hiding in the shadows? That's terrifying. He's a serial killer.
But also at the same time, some of the humor in this movie I thought was so good and clever.
It's so
Thumb Drive was the funniest thing I've ever seen for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that so funny? And Robert Pattinson is actually so funny as an actor, and as a human being. He has impeccable humor, in my opinion.
The dry humor in the movie just worked so well for me.
Interview with Robert Pattinson is so funny to me because he is just the stupidest, funniest person ever without ever changing any emotion in his face. And so he works very well as the Batman for me.
An underrated part of this movie, Colin Farrell is the Penguin. Whoa, what are you doing? I love the way that he yells out.
I still can't believe that's him. I still can't believe that's him.
A transformative performance. The cast across the board. Jeffrey Wright as Gordon. Goat. Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that era of Catwoman being the trendy thing on TikTok? She slayed. And then, of course, you got Robert Pattinson as Batman and Paul Dano as Riddler.
Stunning movie. Did it...
It wasn't Oscar nominated for cinematography. I don't think, but the score from Michael Giacchino, amazing.
Gorgeous.
And I love this movie. I've seen it 3 times. It is a epic film, literally 3-hour runtime. You're on this quest, just like with Batman, trying to find out, crack the case, just like you would if you're playing the Arkham games or even reading a comic. It is an incredible movie. I love seeing the vision from Matt Reeves come to fruition. I adore the Batman. I need to rewatch it soon.
I wish there was a little bit more, I think, of Bruce Banner in this movie. Like
Bruce Wayne.
That's what I mean. Sorry. Thank you so much. I do wish there was more of Bruce Wayne in the movie. Sorry. I don't think I ever say his full name out
You're
loud.
fine.
Anyways, like he was barely ever out of the mask. Yeah. There was like the funeral or whatever, and then that one time he took his shirt off.
Yeah, people's biggest complaint that I just hate was when they were like, Bruce Wayne was just Batman. There was no distinction between Bruce Wayne and Batman.
I remember that. I was like, who's
He hasn't developed the Playboy mentality yet. This is the youngest we've seen Batman on the big screen.
He's just a little baby boy.
He's still trying to learn to separate the two. That's why he's literally like so emo and brooding outside of the mask.
With this emo girl.
So like, of course, when we get the next one, I bet he's gonna be like Christian Bale in The Dark Knight, where he's like got 2 girls on his arm.
Robert Pattinson can absolutely pull that off.
I'm ready. People are going to be thirsting. You volunteer as tribute?
You need an actor. Yeah. I volunteer.
That movie, damn good movie. But
I loved it.
Rounding out the overrated, underrated, neutral portion of this video, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the movie that just hit theaters. Overrated, underrated, neutral on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Overrated.
I think it's rated fine
Okay.
because I know it just came out and people always love movies right when they come out, and I'm sure like the overexcitement will very much die down in a little bit. But I still think it's my second favorite Spider-Man movie as of right now. It's a beautiful movie, stunning. I love Gwen. It's great. I like the ending. I love it.
Now, when I hold this up and say overrated, I'm specifically addressing the greatest comic book, greatest Marvel movie, greatest sequel, greatest movie crowd. It's
Yeah.
overrated if you're throwing that around at it, because there's a movie called Into the Spider-Verse that is better than Across the Spider-Verse. And people have tossed that one in the trash can already and forgot it exists. That's a better movie structurally. Miles Morales goes in this arc from a kid who honestly doesn't have the most confidence, and he becomes Spider-Man. He takes the leap of faith. He gives us all hope that we can wear the mask and achieve our dreams. And by the end of the movie, he even inspired his own mentor, Peter B. Parker, to go back to his universe and be a better man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. There is no arc like that in this film. Granted, it's part 1 of 2. I'm sure Beyond the Spider-Verse will satisfy some of the, desires that we hope to see. But Across the Spider-Verse is a damn good movie. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really dug it. But it's not perfect. And when that's what I'm looking at right now is the general consensus that it's perfect, that it's the greatest comic book film of all time, in that term, and in those terms, it's an overrated movie. Sorry.
That's fair.
It's a great movie.
I see
but
your
it's
point.
overrated.
I see your point.
A lot like Winter Soldier.
All
Great
right.
movie, overrated.
You took it one too far.
But yeah, that's
You just don't like fun. You just don't like Bucky being sexy.
Yeah, I guess not. I like Civil War though, because Iron Man blows his arm off. So
Well,
that's.
Bucky. Hey,
I'm kidding. I love Bucky, especially in the Falcon and Winter
you didn't
Soldier.
love him when we first met.
This is true. I was adamantly against his existence.
I bet
I
your
wanted him
life
to die.
was a living hell when we watched the first Avenger for the first time, and I was like, I think I like this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with this one.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn it.
The beginning of the end. No, I'm kidding.
Who would have known?
But yeah. Anyway.
Thank you guys for watching. Let's see. Tell us your thoughts on Spider-Verse if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, why? It's been a whole weekend. Come on, get it together.
Tell me why.
So true. And everyone manifests that Joseph Quinn gets his booty to America ASAP. For me personally, thank you so much. And let us know if you disagree with any of our takes on the movies.
Let us know down below.
But other than that, we'll see you guys next week. And until then, stay unusual.